Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 134, Basic AutoCAD for Interior Design, in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Okay, so this is class number 3. And as we take a look at the calendar, chapter 2 is due in 2 days. And then chapter 3 is due next week. So there's plenty of time to get the assignments done in both of the assignments. If we go up here and we look in under content, and we look at module 2, in module 2, there's just one basic exercise that's due, and that's this exercise right here, where you'll create these different geometries. There are 2 bonus exercises that are not required that you can download and create if you'd like. They're taken from our previous textbook author, and they're bonus. In other words, they're not required, but there are videos for both of those. If you do decide to do those, they're worth an extra 3 points or 10% of the module. If we take a look at the learning objectives for module 2, it's basically line, circle, and erase. Be sure to work with units. As we work with units, we'll work with architectural units, because architectural units are feet and inches, and that's typical of the type of work that we're using. We looked at methods of selecting objects and zoom and pan. We outlined the topics of the chapter in videos. And so there's video tutorials for the textbook information right here, and as well as the lab exercise right here. So that's due in 2 days. If we take a look at module 3, in module 3, we work with the rectangle command. And in so doing, Al and I can kind of go ahead and take a look at this rectangle command. We can look at explode, offset, construction lines, or creating horizontal and vertical and angled lines. Now they call them construction lines, but essentially the construction line command is an infinite line. Any line is just as good to be able to make these constructions of either being horizontal or vertical or at an angle. And then we'll look at things like extending and trimming, and then object snap. And so let's get started. As we take a look at some of these exercises, one of the exercises was to draw this mirror. And we have an exercise for that, a video for that. And we also can kind of give a quick demonstration for that. So exercise 3A is to draw this mirror. And when we draw the mirror, it's going to be a 3'6" by 2'6" geometry. And we're going to use a title block for it, because using title blocks gives us the layers and line weights. And so if we download a title block, B-size arc, and then we open that, so here's my basic title block. It's got a grid and a snap enabled. I can turn those off with these speed buttons down here at the bottom. I can check to see that all my buttons are on by clicking on the triple bar here. And I can also see that my menu bar is on. And then I'm going to work on a layer. And so I'm going to work on layer furniture. And if I look at my drawing of my mirror, let me grab it. I'm just going to snip it. So I have this mirror here, and it's 3'6" by 2'6". And so as we work with this mirror, what we want to do is we want to see that our grid and snap are on. And so drafting standards, and they're on because the button is blue, but I just like to show it multiple times. Snap is on, and the snap is going to be, I'm going to make it 1 inch instead of 1 foot. And the grid is at 12 or 1 foot. Polar tracking is enabled with 15-degree tracking lines. And object snap, I'm going to disable for right now. I don't really need it. And then if I were to go ahead and take a look at this, it's just, I'm going to draw this with lines. I'll draw it 2 feet 6 by 3 feet 6 using grid and snap. And so I come back here, I go with a line command, and then I zoom in to a point where I feel I can get one of the grids, and then I'll turn on my line weight and I'll bring that out. Notice if I turn off the grid, these are my tracking lines, those green lines, and I'll get another one at 15 degrees. These are really helpful. And so I want polar to be on, which is this button right here, and I'll track that to the right, and I'll type in 2 feet 6, enter. And then I'll track it north. You can see I get a polar line, which means it's straight. I'll type in 3 feet 6, track it to the side, 2 feet 6, and then I'll bring it back. Now, since I don't have object snap on, I have to be super accurate. I have to be exactly 3 feet 6 for that line. And since I'm snapping, it's fine. But if I turn on O snap, even better, because now it goes right to the end and it's 3 feet 6. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offset that line 3 inches. And so we use offset a lot, especially when we first start these constructions. And so I'd say offset 3, enter, select the line either to the left or to the right. Same thing with this line, either above it or below it. And offset is a modal command, meaning it stays active until you hit enter or cancel. Doesn't matter which one you do. And then if we wanted to put in additional lines, we can trim. You can also hold the mouse and drive it to trim. I think it's a little easier. You don't have to be as accurate. And then we can hit escape and go back to the line command. And if we use O snaps, it's even faster because it snaps to the endpoint. And it's just a little less fine motor controls for getting the endpoint. You just need to be close and it magnetizes to the endpoint. And so we create this mirror. If I wanted to maybe make some lines to represent the mirror part, I can just go ahead and just draw these. And I would probably put those on a thinner layer, like maybe layer 0 or like layer glaze. And so there's this glaze layer. You can put this on. It's a little thinner. And then we can repeat the line command just so it looks like there's a bit of a reflection. And what I'm doing is I'm hitting the space bar to repeat the line command. So you can do a lot of right mouse, left mousing on here as you go along. And then to put the dimensions on, we want the dimensions to be on a dimension layer. So we have a dimension layer, and you should use O snaps when you dimension. And so when I dimension, I go to either the annotate tab or right here in the annotation linear dimension, and I bring it to the bottom left corner, click, and then to the bottom right, and I click. I can use a pan command while I'm there. I can use a zoom command by turning the wheel, repeat. And so here's my mirror. I've drawn it and I want to put it on the title block now. So we draw everything full size in model space, and then we flip over to what they call paper space or layout mode. We double click in the viewport and you'll see that it becomes active. And then we do a view, zoom, all. And that'll find our geometry. And then we'll go and dial in a scale that we can print out and measure. And so if we go with 1 inch equals a foot, that's great. It fits. We'll lock it. And then we can double click outside of the viewport and we can put our name on it. Click off of the part. This is CAD 134, section OC1. And you're welcome to update the other information. Be sure to put the date on it and the scale, especially the scale, because when you bring these to, when they're printed, this is what the facilities department will use to make sure that things fit. All righty. So that's a quick demonstration of how to draw that object. Remember, you save them as drawing files. And so if I can get my computer to respond here, I can go save as, and I'll save it as JC-Lab 3A. And then you want to submit those to the Dropbox. And so we go up to the assignments folder. And then this is module 3. Here's the rubric that you'll be graded on: completeness, graphical accuracy, uses proper design rules, things like drawing on the proper layer, dimensioning, proper use of CAD features, add a file, and then we can just go browse out to get it. And then you can add that file and add a comment here. And we submit it. Once you've submitted, it'll tell you that you've submitted it. You can submit more if you would like, but you can't take it out. It's a read only, so you can drop things in. Alrighty, back to the main splash page. Okay, so as we take a look at, chapter 2 is due on the 8th, and then chapter 3 is due on the 15th. If we come back to chapter 3, you're to complete lab 3A, use the architectural title block, and 3B, which is a little bit more challenging. This is a dresser exercise. And then there's a bonus exercise for this luggage rack. And again, we're using all the B-size architectural title blocks. And basically we go through and draw those objects. There's a video for the mirror. And then there's a video for the architectural tutorial. I updated it to 2023. There's another one that's a little bit older. I think it's turned off at this point right now. So with that, that is our module 3. Don't forget the quizzes. Under quizzes and exams, we have the first 3 quizzes, and they'll be graded by Al and I. They're basically questions from the end of the chapter. And so if I were to look at the questions from the end of module 3, we're just asking you open-ended questions about options for the rectangle command. What command do you use to convert a rectangle into 4 separate lines? It would be the explode command. What command is used to create a line parallel to another line? And so you just answer these questions, and then Al and I will grade it, and you'll be able to earn those 10 points. We don't have a due date on the module quizzes. You do want to complete those by the end of the course, and best practice is to do those as you complete the modules. All righty, with that, this week, we basically want to complete our chapters. Chapter 2 is due in 2 days on the 8th, and then chapter 3 is due next week. Al, is there anything else that we want to cover
No, not as my knowledge. Perfect. Great time.
I
Any
think,
questions with ladies and gentlemen of the class?
I think your mic is off. Alrighty then, I'm gonna stop the recording and open things up for questions.